So happy to be here. Thank you, Steve, for inviting me and our panelists. Thank you, Mr. Fadner. Ken, are you in the room? All right. Hey, thank you, Ken. And thank you, John Whitfield, of course. As Steve mentioned, I've been a longtime sponsor. I've been to, I think this is my 15th Insider Summit, but my first D2C. And the other 14 were all the email Insider Summit. So I've spent the vast majority of my career on the technology side, in CRM, email marketing, direct response, so I know a little bit, I think, about the subject, but probably a little bit more about fishing and oyster parties and stuff like that through the years. But yeah, you guys do just a phenomenal job, so I just want to give a round of applause to the Mediapost team, too. Yeah, and just briefly about me, like I said, I've spent actually all of my career working for SaaS, MarTech, ad tech companies. This is my first time working at an agency, North 6 Agency. We'd love for you guys to check us out, n6a.com. We're the outcome relations agency. We do PR, but we're focused on what you guys are all focused on. We talked about in roundtables yesterday. It's all about driving tangible business outcomes, whether it's PR or anything else that we're doing in the marketing technology stack, and we're very acutely aware of that. I'd also say that the folks that we work with are most of folks like you guys in the room. So the gentleman who kicked off the keynote yesterday, which was awesome, from Clorox, he asked how many big brands in the room, and he was surprised that a lot of you guys, even on the brand side, are really emerging brands. And when I look at our client list, what I'm really excited about and proud about is that whether they're in tech or they're in consumer, they represent the future of everything. They're really innovative. They're doing something new and different, and I love that. That's what gets me excited. And I think that a lot of the folks that I've met over the course of the past 2 days are working for companies like that that are really pushing the envelope and doing really cool stuff that more consumers need to know about. So with that said, thank you for having me. Hopefully it'll be well, I know it's going to be an interesting conversation because I spoke to these guys last week, and we basically had a panel during the prep call. We were hoping to just record it and then just sit out there and just play the recording for you guys. But I'm sure you're in store for a fun and interesting panel. We'll leave some time for Q&A. Steve or somebody, just please let me know if we're like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to the end. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we could ask these guys questions because they have a lot of interesting experience and stuff to share with you guys. So with that said, Lillian, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lillian Nickelson. I work for the family Coppola. Some of you guys might know it as Francis Ford Coppola Winery. I've been there about 9 years, and I'm our senior manager of DTC and hospitality. So I work at the flagship in Sonoma County.
Keith Peterson. I am head of brand marketing at iFLY Indoor Skydiving. Has anyone experienced indoor skydiving? Raise your hand. Okay.
The brave.
Good amount. So I head up brand marketing, which includes CRM, which is why I'm on this stage. Prior to iFLY, I spent most of my professional career with Red Bull on the consumer brand side. Without fail, people usually ask me 2 questions, like, did I drive the Mini Cooper with the big can on the back? I did not. Number 2, did I drink a lot of Red Bull? I did. My mother still thinks I'm going to die tomorrow.
Okay, but you're here, so it's good.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, cool. So let's jump into it, guys. Starting with you, Lillian. Tell me about CRM at Coppola.
Yeah, so I think to start, most importantly, the wine industry is a relatively new industry. Yes, worldwide, wine has been around for a really long time, but the wine industry really started in the last 50 to 60 years in a big way, in the DTC way in California. And even more recently, we're really just still growing our DTC businesses. 20 years, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was really complimentary tastings. It was really just trying to get your wine out there on the market. It was really trying to get people to know California wine. Fast forward to that, and now we have experiences and full-blown experiences. At the Francis Ford Coppola Winery, we have a swimming pool, so people can spend the entire day with us. We don't have overnight accommodations. It's really about coming up with your entire family for the day, enjoying our swimming pool, playing bocce. We have a full restaurant. We have tasting rooms. We have experiences. So it's all about, there's so much more to do than just a traditional tasting room. With that being said, though, it allows you to use your CRM in a lot of different ways. We absolutely have traditional marketing in the way we do wine releases, and you're sending emails out. We're sending email campaigns out. We do texting now. So texting is really focused on our local base. It's texting our locals about events coming up at the winery. We do everything from murder mystery dinners to pool parties to salsa dancing classes. So it's really making that one-on-one connection and inviting them up to the winery to experience something. We also use CRM in a big way, and a big part of my position is, yes, I use CRM in a traditional way and in a way we've been talking about a lot, but I also use it as a way to connect with our customers. Someone might Yelp us. We have physical space. The two of us have physical space, so we get Yelped. We have TripAdvisor that tells us how we're doing, and so someone might Yelp us and they had, let's say, less than a perfect experience with us. I will use our CRM to actually pick up the phone and call them and to invite them back, to make that personal one-on-one connection. I developed a grazie card. So grazie in Italian is thank you. Francis is Italian. So, and it says, we had the best day ever with you. And the card is just a flat card. It's mostly typed up. And I wanted to find a way to thank our guests for coming to see us. And so it says, we had the best day ever with you. And there's some space at the bottom of it. And our employees can actually, our staff can actually write a quick note. And it can be everything from, I hope you have fun at the beach this afternoon, or enjoy your cab for your 50th birthday party. It's just a really quick one line. They sign it, they pop it in the mail, and it's the way to use the CRM, to use the address that we got from the private experience when someone's booking online, to take it that one step further in a really easy way operationally to execute. So it's sort of that bridge between the digital world and the technology of it, and then making that human connection and pulling it into the physical space for us.
Cool. So for like a campaign like that, you're not selling that to just everybody. Like, how do you? So when we talked, you said when it comes to the database, quote unquote, get curious. Yeah. And like, what do we want to know about who, and who do we really care about? Can you expand on like who gets that personal note versus just like the standard email that I might get as a New Yorker?
Yeah. Well, if you come to the winery, I will send you a note.
Yeah,
But
I expect the whole. I'm going to the pool.
I send
I'm
notes
doing the
to
whole
New
thing.
Yorkers too.
Yep.
So we do a number of private experiences at the winery. People can book them, and so part of the reservation process, we actually force you to give us your address. And so what we do with that address is we then would return it with the letter. Same with our wine club members. So a wine club is essentially a subscription. It's one of the first subscriptions there was. So a wine club is a quarterly shipment where you get wine delivered straight to your doorstep. And with that, you get a number of benefits at the winery and online if you don't live close to the winery. And so when we have members come in, especially local members that see us a lot, we will surprise them with a card. And the idea behind it is, when you have a really big database, when you have thousands of wine club members, you have thousands of people on your email list. I mean, we all get emails every morning. How many emails do you have before you even wake up every morning from a company trying to insert your name in it or make you feel really special? And we all know it's just, you just delete, 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 delete. You have to figure out a way to take that next step and really make that personal connection with people. And so when they're coming to our physical space, we do have that benefit of being able to make that personal connection with them, but then following up with sort of that surprise and delight of making them feel like, wow, I was really seen and heard. There was thousands of people they saw, and they really actually saw me, and they remembered that it's my 50th birthday, or they remember I'm going to the beach. So it's about bridging those two things.
Cool. All right, Keith, I'll let you do some talking. So tell me about, no. I know, I definitely want to go a little bit deeper, so that was great, thank you. So Keith, tell me about CRM at iFLY, and something that Keith talked to me about when we did our prep call was, he thinks that CRM for most people has too narrow of a definition, right? A lot of us just think about it as email, and even when you look at how the marketing cloud providers are building out, it's email, social, right? Coordinate some text messaging or push notifications, and then 95% of it becomes email, right? So I'd love to hear more about your view of it and what you guys are, doing at
Yeah, so
iFLY.
as Lillian was talking, I was just nodding my head a lot. I think we found a lot of common ground on our kickoff call last week. We talked about some channels and how we're leveraging them, but our conversation really gravitated towards the types of messages we're delivering and the types of experiences that we're delivering. So to echo what you said, like, yes, we utilize most of the platforms and channels that everybody in the room uses. I think because of the physical nature of the indoor skydiving experience, what type of experience we're delivering before you go indoor skydiving, and particularly after, is just as important as the types of channels that we're actually leveraging. So, we don't have like a membership program per se, but we were talking about one challenge that we face at indoor skydiving as it's actually incredibly safe, and I don't work in PR. I have no PR background, so I say that genuinely. But if you haven't done it before, there's a million thoughts that go through your head. It's actually not like real skydiving much at all. You just simply float on this cushion of air, and there's an instructor in the tunnel with you. So when I talk about how do we instill comfort and how do we make people understand what's going to happen, one of the things that we've done is, instead of featuring the tunnel in a lot of our promotional efforts and a lot of advertising, and it's tempting to do that, right? Like, our tunnel it's a cruise ship, and so you build a cruise ship, you want to talk about the cruise ship, but most people just want to know where the ice cream is on the cruise ship, right? And so early on, I think that we were guilty of wanting to talk to this $8 billion wind tunnel, and it just wasn't effective. And what we found really effective is actually putting the instructor, so this world-class, highly instructor that is in the tunnel with you, helping you and guiding you. We've really injected them into everything that we do, so much so that we've been kind of doing some A/B testing with you, the flyer, getting an email from an instructor versus a machine or a bot, and we're finding that the engagement rates with those type of emails are just substantially higher.
Yeah, Beth, I was going to ask you about the instructors as the voice of the brand. You're saying you mentioned. Is there like a singular kind of figurehead, or is it like a bunch of different people who are like local? Like, how does that work?
No, I got to give kudos to Greatest Common Factory. They're actually here attending. John's in the audience. They led the evolution of our brand, and I love it. It's perfect. So our brand architecture is based upon the instructor, who we think of as just like this magician who is in the air with you, but also a coach who's delivering hand signals and watching your face and making sure you're comfortable. So we just need to like double down on it. I think that we've done some things well with featuring our instructors, but I think that we finally found the right way to talk to people, which is the most important thing, of course.
Yep. No, so, and I think that also, again, referring back to like our opening keynote for the conference, right? Brand is part of CRM and brand being meaningful. So we also talked about, Keith, like you said, like Red Bull didn't have a CRM manager. Like you view that like everybody on your team has responsibility. Can you expand on like that concept, like the whole marketing team?
Yeah, and that was part joke, part reality. I actually think it's true. There's a lot of decisions made with the gut at Red Bull. I think, and not that we don't use data and not to knock data, but I like the I forget the phrase that we use, data guided. I very much I love that. We're obsessed with data but I would say we're equally obsessed with the brand and delivering the best experience possible.
Cool. What do your teams look like, both of you guys?
So I oversee a team about just under 60 people, a team made up of different managers. I oversee lifeguards. So anybody else know managers of lifeguards? Okay, so I'm a team of lifeguards because I do oversee our swimming pool. I have a team of a great staff that does all of our reservations for us. So oversees reservations for the property, including all of our events, experiences, and then also the swimming pool. And then I also oversee our TC room staff, so all of our wine team that does all of our experiences. So pretty diverse team. You know, you don't always have TC room team all the way to lifeguards. So it's a really great team, though, and they really, you know, the one thing that we focus a lot on is, and we've talked a lot about culture today, we focus a lot about culture, not only the culture of the company, but the culture of our team, and then also definitely the guest. And I think that if you have a happy team and a happy culture, you will have happy guests, you will have happy consumers, because they're going to just naturally be excited about your product, and they're going to be naturally excited to help people.
I love that. I always tell people, like, one of the, you know, I'm sure for all of you, like, as your career progresses, you've had like a boss who said like one thing that like sticks in your mind. And when I was a junior marketing person at Epsilon, the CMO challenged me and said, like, who's your most important stakeholder to market to? And I was like, our shareholders. He's like, wrong. And I go, okay, prospects. He's like, wrong. And then he said, it's our employees first. And so, you know, if they're happy, if they're enthusiastic, if they're brand ambassadors, like, the rest will kind of flow naturally. So that's a really interesting comment that you made.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I actually started as a seasonal tasting room associate at the winery. I got there, I knew nothing about wine. I'll be the first to say it. And I have had, so I'm on my, I think, sixth role in the last 9 years at Coppola. So our company is really about internal coaching and internal growth. So it's really exciting, too, for me to be able to now turn that around and, you know, see the next team kind of grow up in our company as well. So it's exciting, yeah.
That's something else you guys should know about Lillian. She's spent her entire career at Coppola. Yeah. I've worked at like 15 different companies.
Yeah.
That's the life of the tech CMO. Yeah. Yeah. So Keith, how about how is your team structured around CRM?
Well, we've got just like broadly speaking, we have a regional field marketing team. We have tunnel teams, of course. There's 10 to 12 individuals in each tunnel. We made, I think, the very much like the right decision to work with an agency, well, two agencies, including Greatest Common Factory. But we made the decision to work with an agency to handle our social media, which for us is one of the most critical components of CRM. When I just think about who's like the boots on the ground, drawing people in, asking questions, building loyalty, driving engagement. It's a person on our social media team at the agency. We just didn't feel comfortable expecting one person within the team playing the role of unicorn and developing content, and while at the same time managing the community. So when I think about, like, every single person, of course, is important to the team, but there's no one more important than what I would call almost an entry-level position, this person who is just engaging people, talking to people almost by the minute.
Cool. All right, so I wanted to ask you guys about, this is great, kind of giving us an overview. I want to get a little bit deeper now. So I want to hear about, like, you know, your favorite campaigns that you've run during your tenure at these two companies. So favorite, and then also most successful, and how you define success. So Lillian, I think you were talking about this. You call it like the winemaker's dinner. Is that like your top thing? And tell the audience about that campaign.
Yeah. So winemakers' dinners in the wine industry are pretty common. You get to have that one-on-one experience with the winemaker. You get to really experience a new product or a new wine through food. So who doesn't love that, right? We sort of took it to the next level. So we have an annual event. So before I was in my role now, I was our wine club manager. So I oversaw our wine club. And that event that we had traditionally for years, we'd been doing it for years. We did a winemaker's dinner essentially in the vineyards. And we would build a full kitchen in our vineyards. Our culinary team and our chefs would go and cook a full dinner in our vineyards. We brought in a dance floor. We had live band go out there, and we had a cocktail hour. And it was really fun. It was a great event. And then members actually, so I don't know how many of y'all have been to wine country, but we have vineyards surrounding our winery, and we have what's called vine tags, and it identifies in the vineyard a varietal or what the vine is. So every guest that came to this particular dinner got to take a vine tag and actually tie it around one of the vines in the vineyard, and then that became your vine as long as you stayed a wine club member with us. And you could actually go visit your vine throughout the year, talk to it, say nice things to it, tell it to grow nice and heavy and healthy, and then when it was time to harvest it, you could go say hi to it. So it was just this really great dinner that we had. But when I was our wine club manager, what I saw was it was really impacting 150 guests that were going to that event in an incredible way. And how can you take that? How can you take it to the next step? So more recently with that event, what we've actually done is we've created a wine to partner with it. So the wine is called H Party. It's exclusively available to members only, and it's released annually in conjunction with this event. And so all the guests that are sitting at the table at that dinner, they all get to enjoy the wine right there. And then we send out an email campaign to our entire membership base. So if you live in New York, you get the email, you get to learn more about the event and sort of what happened with the event. And then in conjunction with that, as a wine club member in New York, you get to go online and have a special offer, ship some home to you. And you can also know the other wines that we may have had at the dinner or something about it. So it's really about bridging that experience, about having a physical space experience and then being able to make it virtual for people around the United States and to really be able to enjoy in your own homes and not just have a one-time sort of pop-up experience of 3 hours. It's really sort of creating that to be a bigger experience and a bigger impact.
That's awesome. How many of you are planning to visit Napa after the show and visiting Lillian?
Yes.
That's it? Okay, I think everybody. Yeah. No, I mean it's really. I mean, I've been to Napa a lot. I've never had an experience like that, and I'm coming, and I'm also adopting a. Sorry, honey, at home. I'm adopting a Cab Franc.
Okay, a vine.
Vine. Yeah, I'm adopting a vine for Cab Franc. She doesn't like it. I love it. Stinky. Sorry, personal. So same for you, Keith. Let's and then I have one more question for Lillian, and then we'll open it up. I think. How are we doing on time? Are we? Good. Okay. So yes, let's hear about your favorite campaign.
Yeah. So I guess at iFLY, one thing that we're incredibly guilty of is we do a really fantastic job talking to people who know what the activity is. We do a pretty crappy job talking to people who don't know what it is. In fact, like we have a good amount of people that will even receive a voucher, and because they don't know exactly what it is, they could receive it as a gift. It will go unused, and so. One thing that we've decided to do as a company, and especially across the marketing team, is to evolve our ambassador program, which is made up of a select number of what you would call pro flyers, mostly kids who actually travel the world internationally, and they're all pro flyers. And while that's great, and there's a lot of equity that we get out of those relationships, they really appeal to other flyers, and so. This past year, we actually signed somebody who is much more of a skateboarder, Mitchie Brusco. He participated in X Games, and so it sounded silly at first, and I got a lot of weird reactions internally when I told people that I wanted to sign a pro skateboarder who also flies, but he wanted to become a better flyer. Reason that we did that is, and I'll try and get this verbatim, on my first phone call with him, and I was puzzled myself to begin with. And I just asked Mitchie why he wanted to join the ambassador program, and he said, well, if you think about my activity skateboarding on a ramp, I spend half of my time in the air. And it just clicked for us, and we had a great relationship with him. He actually competed at the recent X Games and landed the world's first 1260, if anybody knows what the heck that is. It was pretty cool. Like for me, that's CRM. At Red Bull, I know we're getting short on time, so I'll go through this quickly. Back when Red Bull had a NASCAR team, actually two NASCAR teams, this was about 5-10 years ago. One of activation that I was a part of, we invited customers to submit photos of themselves. A lot of people submitted photos of their dogs for some reason. I mean, I guess I think we sort of are represented by our pets. So we invited them to do that, and then we took all of the photos, and we actually wrapped both of our race cars with millions of photos of people and their dogs during an actual race, and it was a really powerful campaign.
How do you know that it was powerful? Like, what were how are you measuring something like that?
I mean, just name a metric. It definitely spiked. I mean, sales spiked, engagement online spiked. I think we added something like 100,000 followers on Facebook the day of the race. So.
How do you come up? It's a cool idea. If my dog ever had a Red Bull, I'm just trying to think about like the additional destruction that would occur in our house. Don't give Red Bull to your dog, or you're alive, so I'm happy.
I'm here.
How do you come up with an idea like that?
Well, it's really sort of ingrained in, I guess, and people have asked me, who works at Red Bull, and my answer was, well, it's not necessarily this. Yes, there's some incredibly smart people. I never happen to run into somebody from an Ivy League. It's just filled. The halls are filled with people just obsessed with delivering like impactful, progressive experiences to people, and I think that just lends itself to an atmosphere that is a really creative one.
Oh, cool. So, again, I'm a huge fan of right brain in marketing, and I think that there's been so much like pressure in recent years, and it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys all feel the same in the audience. We're kind of like being allowed to be creative again. There's been so much pressure on like the money, like becoming like Moneyball CMOs, right? Data, science, math, and like if you lose sight of like the big ideas and taking risks and being creative, like you're not going to be as successful as the two folks I have up on stage here. So last question before we go to audience Q&A. Kind of elephant in the room is, California has been suffering through like horrible crisis with wildfires. Lillian actually we had an out of office, and we tried to set up the call because she had to evacuate from Sonoma due to the Kincaid fire. Lillian, can you talk to us about when there's like a crisis that directly impacts your brand, your entire industry? What has been the impact for you guys? How have you been responding, or how has CRM played a role in helping you guys kind of survive and thrive despite these year after year, in recent years, these fires?
Yeah, so let me ask everyone a quick question. Who saw on the news that California's had fires lately? Right. So what does that do to you wanting to come to California? Right. So, one of the biggest challenges is the perception. So just to give you guys kind of an idea of scale, the most recent fire that occurred really locally to us was in Sonoma County. I was evacuated for about 5 days. We closed the winery for, I believe it was 6 to 7 days. The fires were really rural, and so they were really in the area between where I live and where the winery is, and in between us in Sonoma County and Napa. And it was, we definitely had a loss of home. We definitely had a loss of structure. But I will also say that our local firefighters and first responders worked really, really, really hard to keep the fires from moving into the towns, and they did a really amazing job of that. These fires, from where I am at the winery, you can't see them. You can't see the burn scars from them. They are definitely in the valley, and it definitely was widespread. But at the same time, it impacted, I would say, definitely less than 10%. There's statistics out there, definitely less than 10% of Sonoma County. However, to all of you sitting in this room from all over the U.S., it seems like all of Sonoma County is on fire, and if you were to come and visit us, all you would see is everything's burned, and who wants to go on vacation to where everything's burned? And I can tell you that I live there, and it really does. The majority of the county really looks back to normal. So I think it's for us about the perception of that and just kind of changing the perception of that, and that's going to be a big piece of it. It's also really, you're talking about CRM, and there is that bigger perception piece of the puzzle, but then when you're looking to your CRM, when you're looking to your loyalists, it's really looking at your repeat customers and sending out the message that yes, we're open, yes, we would love to host you, come back and see us, purchase your wine locally, purchase Sonoma County wines locally in your stores. For our wine club members, continue to enjoy your shipments. There's also perception, we are an agriculture business, and so the question is, will this impact the wine? Will this impact the grapes? People hear things like really big words like smoke taint, and they're really worried that the wines aren't going to be as great. They're going to be excellent. We had big fires in 2017, and the 2017 vintage is now coming out, and these wines are incredible. So it's really about that messaging and getting the message out there that, yes, we're open, and these wines are going to continue to be incredible, and don't hesitate to purchase the 2017 or the 2019 vintages. They're still really wonderful wines. And then it's about really looking to your local base. Sonoma County as a whole has been really impacted in the last few years by these fires, and so really looking to our loyal local wine club members and our local loyal followers and saying, come on up. We've done things, I mentioned text, we do a lot of radio, so I'm looking to those things, and really I'm kind of looking internally to that. So.
All right, Steve is telling me.
I saw Steve, he's like, stop.
How much time do we have for audience?
A couple of minutes, but we have to go to roundtables in a second. Anybody have any quick questions for the CRM panel? Yep.
Hey guys, Chris Miller from MIQ. What's your opinion on using paid ad channels for CRM activation? Is there a tasteful way of doing it?
A tasteful way. Sometimes. Hopefully. I mean, we like a lot of people here, we probably spend too much on Facebook. It's just, a necessary part, but I think it can be done. I don't know. Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I mean, I think it's what I focus on specifically is really like the DTC, like the experience world. So it bridges a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I think it could be done. Yeah.
Keith, your use of the trainers and in the emails, is it just sort of their face on the email, or do they actually follow through and take some responsibility for the relationship with the customer?
They do. A lot of times those conversations are taken offline. For better or for worse, instructors are commonly sharing their contact info. You can imagine that leads to some interesting conversations. But we wouldn't want it any other way. We do want that personal connection. So it's not necessarily, the email is not necessarily written by the instructor, but it is very much intended to feel like it did come from the instructor. But then the person can absolutely connect with that instructor if they want to.
Guys, thank you so much. We're going to move to a roundtable with this topic as well.
All right, thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it.